Welcome to the first service at Morganville Baptist Church. Today, in our series of Where in the Bible, we're looking at the city of David in Luke chapter 2. The city of David, of course, Bethlehem. In the Lord's first coming, first advent to earth, at least incarnate in flesh, as we've been covering in our series, there were many miracles and many surprises for many people. And today in Luke chapter 2, we'll be looking at some of the surprises that the shepherds encountered at this wondrous time. Sometimes we see unusual, even unbelievable sights. Oftentimes we're not seeing miracles, we're not understanding what we're seeing. I was driving west of Morgan Mill, a two-lane road, long before the sun comes up, and so I leave early and only drive about 35 miles an hour. That way I'm able to miss the deer, the rabbits, and other surprises along the way. One morning I was headed west from Morgan Mill, very dark, and all of a sudden near the center of the road I see something that looks like, maybe is that a frog? A frog that large wouldn't be this near the road. That would be more near water. Maybe it's a toad. And then, as my brain tried to continue to function and figure this out, it's too cold for either a frog or a toad to be on the road. Out of caution, I still slow down. And about the point I believe that it must be just a clod of dirt or something that's fallen on the road, I'm still going slower. About the time I've tried to convince myself it's not a frog or anything like a frog, right before I get near it, what I think is a frog jumps. It jumps so high, it one surprised me, and two, then it surprised me because frogs, toads are good jumpers, but not straight up and not that high. And about the point I see this supposed frog that has jumped straight up, all of a sudden opens its wings and flies almost straight up in the air. At this point, my brain is telling me, no, I am not seeing a frog that is flying, but my brain is working very hard to try to process what I am seeing. No, I did not see a frog fly. In the dark, I misidentified a meadowlark that was in the road, and it first jumped and then opened its wings and flew almost straight up and straight over me on that morning. In our Bible text today, we will see shepherds, and they will see something far more startling than that, far more surprising, and it will not be a misidentification on their part. It will be very real. In Luke chapter 2, there in verse 8, in the same region there were some shepherds staying out in the fields and keeping watch over their flock by night. This region was around the city of David, Bethlehem. Verse 4, Joseph also went up from Galilee and from the city of Nazareth to Judea, to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and the family of David. As we've covered in our series, Bethlehem is around 6 miles, 9 kilometers from Jerusalem. That's not a long walking distance, about half the way for us to Stephenville. I know many people years ago used to walk that much to school each and every day. The shepherds raised sheep in the region of Bethlehem for all the reasons you raise sheep, for clothes and food, but also being close to the temple. Many of them would also be used in the temple sacrifices. Verse 6, while they were there, the days were completed for her to give birth, and she gave birth to her firstborn son, and she wrapped him in cloths and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. In the same region, there were some shepherds staying out in their fields and watching over their flock by night. And an angel of the Lord suddenly stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone round about them, and they were terribly frightened. We would be too. I was just surprised when I thought I saw a frog flying, and I was wrong. Imagine the amazement of shepherds when they are actually seeing angels. Verse 10. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for behold, I bring you good news of great joy, which will be for all the people. For today in the city of David there has been born for you a Savior, who is Christ the Lord." The Greek text here for Savior is soter. It translates as Savior, Deliverer, Preserver. For Christ, the Greek text there is Christos. It means anointed. We transliterate it as Christ into English, but the anointed, they would understand, is a reference to the Messiah. The Messiah? For the shepherds, the one we've been waiting for all these years, the Messiah. And it's Christ the Lord, and the Greek text there is Kurios. Lord, another title for Messiah. This emphasizes his authority. Now, there's more surprises and wonders for us to see in this marvelous text in chapter 2. We'll see that in part 2 of today's Bible study next.